What's up, guys? Welcome back to Around the Table Sports. If you haven't already, please consider dropping a like and subscribe to the channel. This is a channel where we do a lot of sports-related content, high school football, college football, NFL, and with the NBA coming back, you know we're going to be covering that as well. So if you're into that, please consider subscribing to the channel. But today's video, I'm very excited about. It's one that I've been thinking about for a few days now, ever since I read the article. And there was an article on 24/7 Sports Overall about the top QB rooms in the country. And while I generally agreed with most of the positions, there was some in the top 10 that I found a little bit strange. And that's what I want to specifically get into today. The top 10 quarterback rooms in the country. Now, I'm just going to be going off of the list from 24/7. I'm going to reorder it and kind of say where I think they should go. And there's not going to be much of a deviation, but where I have a problem with the list, I have a pretty big problem with it. But let's get into it. According to 24/7 Sports, Barton Simmons, which if y'all haven't heard of Barton Simmons or you haven't read anything he does, please go check him out. He is phenomenal. Great recruiting news. I mean, really, really great news. And he's always putting out fantastic articles and an analysis of players. Really high quality stuff. But his top 10 right now, going into this season of deepest QB rooms in the nation, are Clemson at 1, Ohio State at 2, Alabama at 3, Texas at 4, Georgia at 5, Florida at 6, Stanford at 7, North Carolina at 8, Minnesota at 9, and Iowa State at 10. Now, there's not too much, I think, wrong with this list, except there is something interesting to me. Stanford being at 7, right? That immediately stands out because KJ Costello is no longer there, and the kid they had last year was good, but does that beat 7 on the list? I mean, they put 7, David Mills, above North Carolina's Sam Howell when Sam Howell had a incredible freshman season. I don't think that David Mills, while he looked great, he didn't do to me what Sam Howell did, right? Sam Howell was very, very, very impressive last year, and he looks to continue that this season. Without KJ Costello there, I actually think that I could make an argument that Mississippi State, with KJ Costello and Mike Leach as the head coach, for those of you that remember Leach, he does crazy offenses that are going to really, really highlight a lot of what KJ Costello does right. That's going to be a blast to watch the SEC this year. Mike Leach, Lane Kiffin, Ed Orgeron, Nick Saban, all in the same conference is going to be a bloodbath, and I cannot wait for it. But I think I could make an argument that that alone should warrant Mississippi State some love on this list. But I digress from there. That's not the biggest thing that stands out to me on this list. The thing that stands out to me the most on this list is actually the number 5, and that's Georgia. Now, if I had to rank this list just in the top 10, that's all we're focusing on. Barton Simmons went all the way 1 through 25. I'm just going to do 1 through 10. It's organized. I like it that way. So, in my opinion, I think that 1 and 2 I have no problem with, right? You got Trevor Lawrence coming back. He's the only national championship winning quarterback on the list. I think that that's an obvious nod to the number 1 off of him alone. Then when you factor in DJ Uiagalelei, who they just got from California in this past recruiting cycle, who is the number 2 quarterback in the nation, behind only Bryce Young. I mean, DJ Uiagalelei is very, very specially talented, incredibly large kid with a big arm, very accurate. And Clemson looks to be well poised whenever Trevor Lawrence declares for the draft this year. So no problem at them at number 1. It just makes sense. And then Ohio State at number 2, you got Justin Fields coming back, who had Heisman conversation last year and who will, I believe, be in the Heisman conversation this year. Then you have C.J. Stroud backing him up. They have a lot of really good quarterbacks in the stable at Ohio State. So as great as Justin Fields is, they're going to be just fine when he goes on to the pros as a first-round draft pick. I mean, they got some guys in the back burner that are very special. Now, this is where I deviate, because they have Alabama at 3. And while I agree off of talent, right, maybe you could argue Bama at 3, and that's because Bryce Young looks, and it's tough because he looks to be otherworldly talented. But Mac Jones looked very good in a few games, no doubt. He threw for a lot of yards against Auburn, and there's an argument of whether or not that was on him, right? Some of those plays were just bad luck. The pick six that he threw to Najee Harris, that was just incredibly bad luck. The other one, he was on that famous Jameis surgery level. I don't know what he was doing with the other one. But the reason why I don't like Bama at 3 is Mac Jones has a very small sample size at the college level. Bryce Young has no sample size at the college level. Y'all who watched the video of Mac Jones versus Bryce Young will know I am as big a fan of Bryce Young as anybody in the nation. I think that he is otherworldly talented, but I am very uncomfortable giving the nod to a kid that hasn't taken a college snap over kids that have taken college snaps and been very successful. So where am I going with this, and who do I think belongs at number 3? Simple. Georgia. Georgia right now has Carson Beck, who is a 4-star recruit, who is very, very good. Not only that, but they have JT Daniels, who was the number 1 quarterback in the nation before he reclassified and started as a true freshman for USC and looked very, very good. Now, granted, the lows with JT Daniel weren't super low, but they were kind of painful. But the highs with JT Daniels, I mean, the lows can easily be excused to age and a poor offensive line. That offensive line he had at USC was not very good. He is otherworldly talented. Not only do they have JT Daniels, who started as a true freshman for USC when he should have been a senior in high school, mind you, they have Jamie Newman, who played in the ACC at Wake Forest and was very, very good. And I did a video on this channel, JT Daniels versus Jamie Newman. And for those of you that saw that will know I am incredibly high on Jamie Newman. I actually think that he is being underrated by a lot of people. I think Jamie Newman does a lot of things really well, and he's kind of been overlooked. So to me, that's easy. Georgia has the 3rd best quarterback room in this country, and I really was surprised to see both Texas and Alabama ahead of Georgia. I really don't understand that, given the fact that, sure, Mac Jones is a starter, right? And we think Bryce Young is a starter. But college is a different ballgame than high school, and the speed is different. We know JT Daniels is a Power 5 starter. We know right now, day 1, Jamie Newman is Power 5 ready. Can I say the same thing with as much confidence about that Alabama quarterback room? Honestly, no. No, I can't. I'm going to be very honest with you. No. So to me, it goes Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, and then this is where we start having the conversation, right? Texas or Alabama. To me, I think that Alabama at number 4, because of Mac Jones, he threw for a lot of yards. He was very good in those games. Even though they didn't win, he looked very good. And the defense was porous because of more injuries than I can remember. One of the most unfortunate college football seasons of all time, in my opinion. But then you have Bryce Young, otherworldly talented. So after Bama at 4, where do we go? Well, this is where I kind of flipped back and forth between 3 teams. You have Texas with Sam Ehlinger, who's been nothing but battle-proven, and then you got kids behind him who are ready to go. But then you have North Carolina with Howell, and Howell was a difference maker at North Carolina. I mean, very, very high-level stuff for a freshman. Very impressive. I'm really big on him. But also, you have Florida with Emory Jones and Kyle Trask. Emory Jones was a top recruit in the cycle a few years before, and Ohio State was really close to getting him before he went to Florida. And the craziest thing about that is that they are so low on this list, but off of talent alone, that's one of the more talented, right, groups in the nation. So for me personally, I think I would do North Carolina at 5, Florida at 6, Texas at 7. At 8, I'll do Stanford just because I am high on Mills. I think that he does have a lot of potential. At 9, I have Minnesota. They have a lot of good kids on that roster, right? And Tanner Morgan is very impressive. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. Hopefully we get that season because that's a kid that you really have to tune in for every Saturday that he plays. And last but not least, along with the 24/7 sports list, I have Iowa State with Brock Purdy at 10. They got talent behind him, 2 freshmen behind him. Both of them look to be very good to take over the reins. Iowa State's in good hands. At Minnesota, they have a redshirt freshmen, 2 redshirt freshmen behind him, and then a sophomore. So they have a little bit more experience at Minnesota, which is why I gave them the edge over Iowa State, was simply the experience in the locker room as opposed to Iowa State having a great starter, but a little bit of inexperience in the locker room. Well, let me know down below what you think, who your top 10 quarterback rooms are in the nation. Once again, my personal top 10: Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, Stanford, Minnesota, Iowa State. Top 10 quarterback rooms in the country. Let me know down below who you have. If you haven't already, guys, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and let me know what you'd like to see. I want this to be a fun channel for everybody, and we're just going to have a good time. Can't wait for the NBA to come back, and that's it. See ya.